A rational number is a number that can be written as a fraction, and a rational expression, what we're going to be talking about today, those are expressions that can be written as a fraction. The number 2 that we all know and love, it can also be written as 6 divided by 3. Why is that? Well, if you factor 6, that becomes 3 times 2. If you factor 3, 3 can be written as only 3 times 1 since 3 is prime. So 6 divided by 3 equals 2, because if we cancel out their common factors, 3 and 3, we're left with 2 over 1, which is equal to 2. So now we're going to look at a rational expression such as x squared divided by 5x minus 1. X squared means x times x. 5x minus 1 means, wait a second, you can't factor 5x minus 1 any further. So we're just going to leave it as 5x minus 1. Now you're going to say, oh yeah, we can go ahead and cross out those x's. Can we do that? Let's ask this guy. I couldn't have said it any better. We cannot cancel these x's out, because in the numerator we have x times x, whereas in the bottom we have 5 times x minus 1. This part right here prevents us from being able to cancel out those x's, okay? So if they're separated by a plus or minus sign, you may not cancel them out there, okay? So that's going to be very important today. We'll look more, we'll see this in more examples, okay? 20 divided by 64, of course you can do that on your calculator. Hit 20 divided by 64, hit enter, you get a decimal, then math, enter, enter, and you get a fraction. I'll show you why you get that fraction, just so you understand what we're doing a little bit better. But use your calculator when you can, okay? I mean, there are several instances where you can, so use it to your advantage, okay? But here's why factoring and canceling out common factors works. 20 can be written as 5 times 2 times 2. 64 can be written as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Don't believe me? Put it into your calculator. You could also say it's 2 to the 6th power. But anyways, once you factor both the numerator and denominator completely, you can cancel out your common factors. And what that's going to do is reduce the fraction for you. So that's what the calculator does when you do 20 divided by 64, math, enter, enter. It does all of this for us. So what common factors are there? There's a 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and a 2 here. Okay, there are no more 2's left on top, and there are no 5's on the bottom, so we cannot cancel anything else out. Let's multiply everything back together again, and you get 5 over 16. So 20 divided by 64 is equivalent to 5 over 16. So what you want to do with a rational expression like 4x squared divided by 6xy, let's break it down. Let's factor the 4 becomes 2 times 2. X squared becomes x times x. And 6xy, okay, 6 is 3 times 2. And then you just have times x times y. Okay? We can cancel out common factors. I don't see any plus or minus signs separating them. So they're factors because they're multiplying each other, right? So let's cancel out the common ones. There's a 2 here and a 2 here. You have an x here and an x here. And let's put it back together. You get 2x over 3y. That's your answer. So 4x squared divided by 6xy is equivalent to 2x divided by 3y. These are just rules to remember. You can read these on your own, and don't worry about the examples right now. We're going to do some examples on the back side of your notes. So it says, always remember to read directions carefully. It says, what can you cancel? Canceling meaning crossing out. Are you canceling terms or factors? Try these with a partner, or you can try them on your own. You have 2 times 6 divided by 2. What can you cancel out? So why don't you guys do these, pause it for a second, and we'll come around and check your answers, okay? So just remember, if they're separated by a plus or minus sign, don't fall for the trap. I'm looking at number 5, okay? You guys might be tempted to cross out that 4x minus, those 4x minus 1s, but why can't you cancel out those 4x minus 1s? Because they're separated by that plus sign up top. You see these? This 4x minus 1 and that 3x plus 2, they're separated, the parentheses are separated by a plus sign. So you are not allowed to cancel out the 4x minus 1s, all right? So be careful with stuff like that, all right? Why don't you try these problems, and then I'm going to go over the examples now below them. So after number 8, after you've been checked off after doing those 8 problems, look at these examples. These examples, okay? So when you get problems like these problems that are not factored, meaning you're going to have to do the factoring work for you, factoring can be a tricky subject sometimes. So you just have to keep thinking, use your brain, and use your calculator as much as possible, okay? If you're not sure what numbers multiply to give you 9 or what numbers multiply to give you 27, take that number, go to y equals, and take that number, divide it by x, and then you're going to go to the table, and you'll be able to see the numbers that multiply to give you these numbers. So there are ways to figure these things out. Also, variables are nice. You can just expand them. So I'm going to show you, like in problem A, I'm going to write 9a squared b cubed as 3 times 3 a, b, b, b. That's over 27. All right, you have to do a little more work with 27. 27 is 9 times 3. And then remember, 9 becomes 3 times 3. All right, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, right? Yes, you're right, it is 27. So we have 3 times 3 times 3. And then let's expand those variables. You have A, B, 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 and a C. So let's cancel out our common factors now. Okay? It's going to get easy. The more you practice, the better you'll get. These 3's here will cancel out. This 3 and this 3 will cancel out. An A here and an A here. An A here and an A here. You have a B here, a B here, a B here, and a B here, and a B here, and a B here. Let's put it back together now and get our answer. What did we not cancel out? Okay. On top, we canceled out everything. So this is important. You canceled out everything, except you got to remember there's a 1. Okay, 1 is a factor of anything. Okay, 1 times a number does not change that number, right? So that 1 is there, and it serves as a placeholder in a problem like this when you cancel everything out. On top, you're going to have 1. On the bottom, or in your denominator, what's left? You had a 3. A times A becomes A squared, and then you have BC. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your answer. 1 over 3A squared BC. On a problem like 10y squared plus 15y over 35y squared minus 5y, I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not so bad. You're going to have to break each term down. There are 4 terms total, 2 in the numerator and 2 in the denominator. I factored each one of those, and we're going to pull out a greatest common factor. So let's look up top on the numerator. 10y squared was written as 5 times 2 times y times y, and 15y was written as 5 times 3y. Their greatest common factor is going to be, they each have a 5, they each have a y, nothing else in common. So the greatest common factor is going to be 5y, And then we're going to open up a set of parentheses and put this back together. Whatever we didn't take out goes back in. So we're going to have a 2y, which comes from here and here, and then a plus 3, which comes from right here. So we get 2y plus 3. All right, now in the denominator, the 35y squared was broken down to 7 times 5 times y, and the 5y couldn't be broken down any further, so it's just 5y. So what do they have in common? They have no 7s in common. They have a 5 and a 5 and a y and a y. So 5y is going to be the GCF for the denominator also. Then you open up a set of parentheses. What remains is 7y, and uh-oh, what happens? We have nothing left over, so is it a 0? No, it's a 1, remember? So when you cancel like everything out, remember 1 is a placeholder. So as you notice, this and the GCF right here are the same thing. So in its place, we're going to put a 1. So let's first put that 7y down there. 7y, and then minus 1. All right. So both the numerator and denominator are factored. Now we're ready to cancel out common factors. What are the common factors? The common factors are, in this case, the GCF, 5y and 5y. So we end up with 2y plus 3 over 7y minus 1. And that's your answer. Go ahead and watch it again if you want. If you're watch it as many times as you need to until you understand it, okay? That's what these videos are for. Because of time, I factored example A here for you. So now, here we're multiplying a fraction times a fraction. And when you're multiplying, you can kind of view them as just one fraction. We're going to, again, cancel out common factors. So we will be allowed to cancel out n minus 6 and n minus 6. And you can cancel out an n from the top and an n from the bottom. So what that's going to leave us with is 1 over n to the 7th. And that's your answer. Okay, B is going to involve some factoring. You guys can try that. X minus 5 over x plus 1 is already factored, but you're going to have to factor x squared minus 1, which, hint, hint, is a difference of squares, and x squared minus 10x plus 25, which is a trinomial that you guys all know how to factor using y equals. So you would want to factor the numerator and denominator for that second fraction, and then cancel out your common factors. So there's the next step. Okay, please, if you're not sure how we factored that, let us know and we'll help you out, okay? That's what we're here for. So now we're going to cancel out the common factors. You end up with x minus 1 divided by x minus 5. Can you cancel out those x's? No, because they're separated by plus or minus signs, right? In this case, they're both separated by minus signs. Our division is tricky. Both A and B are division problems. B is written a little differently. So I'm going to rewrite B. So when you see a fraction on top of a fraction, that gets real messy. And also, we want to change our division sign to a multiplication sign because it makes things easier for us. In doing so, you have to flip the fraction on the right. So the fraction on the left will stay the same. The fraction on the right will not. Once you do that, you want to factor everything that you possibly can. And you'll get, so now everything's factored. Now let's cancel out the common factors, and be careful. 3 plus a and a plus 3 are the same because of the commutative property, but 3 minus a, which is right here, and a minus 3, not quite the same. A plus 2s will cancel out. Now 3 minus a over a minus 3 is negative 1. So we end up with negative 5 over 2. We'll explain more.